In the previous session, we explored some basic syntax of the PHP language, the general structure of a PHP script, how PHP lets you access variables from GET requests, and how to use echo to send lines to standard out. In this lesson, we discuss comparisons and the if statement, along with several standard variables available to both GET and POST users. And we also look at how to send emails from a PHP CGI. From the previous lesson, we've seen that if a form in your HTML page includes this, and here's our form start tag, and in the body of the form we have, for example, 3 input elements, controls, and notice they have name equals first name, name equals family name, and name equals email. Then in CGIs/addres.php, to access the value from these controls, you will need to code this, $fname equals $_get bracket quote, first name quote, bracket semicolon, and similarly for lname and email. So now your code is running on your server and can access the values passed to it from your form. What's happening here is that PHP sets up an array of all the incoming variables with a name of $_get. And then it uses the name of each coming variable as the index into the array. That is, the name equals attribute of a control in the form where this comes from. So inside the brackets, you code the quoted name of the variable and it returns the value assigned to that variable. Now, the PHP discussion of arrays is complex. Check out https://www.php.net/manual/en/language.types.array.php. Fortunately, I've never had to create an array or access values in an array other than to access values in arrays that PHP sets up automatically, which includes $_get, all control values passed to a CGI that was invoked using GET, or $_post, all non-file control values passed to a CGI invoked using POST, and $_server, characteristics of the server the CGI is running on. And there are some others, but this list is plenty for now. We'll look at some others in a later lesson. The $_get and $_post variable arrays behave the same. They retrieve the value of strings set to the CGI by the get and post methods, respectively. The get method is quick but limited in size. The post method is slightly slower but is unlimited in size. To send files, you can only use the post method, and for these you work with the $_files array, discussed in a later video. The if statement. Our previous foray into PHP CGI writing was straightforward. Simply echo text lines to standard out, and thence to the user's browser, with a few variable value substitutions. But sometimes you don't want to do that. What if a value wasn't supplied, for example? That is, it wasn't required in the control that sends that data. Or if there are several possible values you might choose from, or if you need to do calculations with incoming data, and so on. We start with defining what PHP considers to be true or false, then look at the available comparison operators, and then examine the syntax for if statements. When values are examined by PHP to determine if they have a logical value of true or false, the following values are considered false. Obviously, the Boolean term false itself, numeric zeros, whether positive or negative or unsigned, any empty string, the null value, and an array with 0 elements. These are all false. All other values are considered true. Especially note that -1 is considered true, which differs from some other languages. Also recall that the terms true and false are case insensitive when considering the Boolean value of an item. In a strange reality, the character string quote false quote is considered to be true, since it is a non-empty string. Literal values and variables by themselves are considered to be expressions. So is any combination of these using operators such as arithmetic operators, logical operators, concatenation operators, and so on. So on evaluation of an expression, the value may be considered to be true or false using the just listed definitions. In the following list of comparison operators, $A and $B represent expressions. Then $A = $B is a test for equality. If one operand is a number or numeric string and the other is a numeric string, the comparison is done numerically. Otherwise, it's a character string compare. For example, quote, space 3, quote, equal, quote, 2 plus 1, quote, evaluates as false, since these are character strings because of the quotes, and so a character string compare is done. But 3 equal 2 plus 1, and quote 3 equal 2 plus 1, and 3 equal quote 2 plus 1 all evaluate as true, since a numeric compare is done. $A = $B is a test for identity, that is, both operands must be the same type and have the same value in order for this comparison to return true. $A exclamation equal $B is a test for not equal, and $A exclamation equal $B is a test for not identical. $A less than $B is, of course, a test for less than. $A greater than $B is true if A is greater than B. $A less than or equal to $B is a test for less than or equal to, and $A greater than equal $B is a test for greater than or equal to. Pretty much what you expect. Now, as for if, here's the syntax. If, and in parentheses, comparison. And then, in braces, a set of statements that will be executed if the comparison returns true. You can also have an else clause. If, parenthesis, comparison, braces, statements for the true part of it, else, braces, statements, if the if comparison is false. Each statement in the if or else clauses must end with a semicolon. If there's only one statement, you do not need the braces, but it might be handy to code them even then, in case you need additional statements later. So now we check, for example, if a value has been supplied to a form and then passed to the CGI. Recall, here's the form we've been working with. And now we expand on our previous CGI, addres.php. Notice how I've added all the variables declared now, and then we'll use them later. In the body, I have this if $ref is not equal to quote quote, echo, thanks for letting us know how you heard about the trip. So if they provided something so it's not blank, we will issue that line to standard out. But if it didn't provide anything, they won't see that line. And if the user filled in the data like this, first name Johnny, last name Jester, email address johnny@me.com, and then how did you hear about this trip? Heard from a friend who's a member of Japan America Society. So that field is now non-blank, so they would have seen this page as a response. We've received your request. Welcome, Johnny. We've received your request to join our trip. We'll send additional information to johnny@me.com. Thanks for letting us know how you found out about our trip. Click here to go back to your home page. Because the control named ref has a value, the if condition test result is true, and therefore the new line is written out to the browser. And now, I'd like to introduce some useful global variables. These are a set of variables available to your CGI that don't come from a form, but are set up by the server. In fact, This is an array named $_server, and you access the specific variables by using any of these predefined index names. I'm only showing a few select variables here. So $_server, server_addr. This returns the IP address of the server where the CGI is running. For example, 192.145.235.6. Or $_server, server_name, which is the name of the server running the CGI. For example, www.stillpluggingaway.com. Request_method returns get or post. And query_string is generated by the form as discussed in previous lessons, the query string that we've talked about. HTTP_refer references the page which included the form that made the request. For example, https://www.stillpluggingaway.com/mywebfiles/fda enroll.html. Remote_adder returns the IP address of the server hosting the form that made the request. For example, 71.211.185.15. And remote_user, the name of the requesting user. Note that many of these may not have values because they require your server to have certain configuration options set or require the user's browser to set some values. So you might test displaying these values to see which ones work in your situation. The complete list, as well as some discussion, is found here. https://www.php.net/manual/en/reserved.variables.server.php. You can echo any of these variables or even just include them directly in an if statement. For example, if $_server bracket quote request_method is not equal to get, and then in that code handle non-get requests. For example, check that we were invoked with the right method, then we might see this: if the server request method is get, then have these echo statements, else echo error invoking the service, contact your web developer, assuming that it was supposed to be invoked by get. And you might ask, well, how could the method here not return get? Well, that's a story for a later lesson. I want to finish up this session by describing how to send emails from a PHP CGI. Now, this is not for sending an email to your user, although that can be done, but to send an email to one or more interested people. For example, if you have a new person sign up for our trip to Japan, the trip leader might want to know, and the webmaster may need to find out about this also. The key here is to set up several values and then invoke the mail PHP function. The general syntax of the function is mail, parenthesis, to, subject, text, and optionally additional headers. Now, the first parameter must include the to address. One or more email addresses and various possibilities exist. Could be just a single email address, $mail_to equals steve@stillpluggingaway.com. Or could be a name followed by an email address in angle brackets. $mail_to equals, quote, Steve Comstock less than steve@stillpluggingaway.com greater than, end quote. The less than and greater than signs are required when you use this syntax. You can have a comma-separated list of names with email addresses. $mail_to equals Steve, bracket steve@one.com, bracket, John, bracket j@me.com, Sally, less than sj@live.com, greater than. Now, using the name mail to is my habit. You can use any variable name you like, of course. The second parameter is possibly just a literal, such as $subject equals a new traveler. The third parameter can be a single line. $message equals, quote, $fname space $lname with email, $email has signed up, \r\n. Recall, the \r\n starts a new line. Or, as the script analyzes the incoming values, you might want to build up or expand the message. So $message equals $message dot, remember that's concatenation, found out about the trip from $ref. The fourth parameter should be a from address. This is required even though the syntax indicated it's optional. So $headers equals, quote, from, colon, Steve that's still plugging away.com, \r\n. Now you may also have other headers, but that's beyond the scope of this course. Then, when you've built the whole message, you can issue the mail function anytime. Mail, parenthesis, $mail2, $subject, $message, $headers. Let's finish this session by including this in our example code, addres.php. Here we have as before, but we add our four variables, mail2, subject, headers, and message. And then in the body, while we check about if $ref is not blank, we add a addition to the message parameter, and then we issue our mail2 command. And if we run this with the same input as before, the user will see the same web page as before, and I will get an email like this. In this session, we examined comparison operators and then used them in the if statement, and we looked at the else clause. Then we examined several $_server variables available to your CGI and saw how to send emails from a PHP CGI. Coming up, in the next video, we explore some more complex examples of if statements, and then in the next lesson, we explore some useful techniques for working with strings in PHP, as well as how to format the current date and time. See you there.